Hey, this is AJ Donahue from Drum Magazine. I'm here with Mike Nealon from Gretsch Drums, and we're going to talk a little bit about the new features on the Renown series right behind us. Mike.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming out today. So the Renown line's been part of our line since the early 2000s. It was one of our strongest sellers, and over the years, with cost increase and as the markets changed, the cost went up and up on it. We wanted to reintroduce it for 2016 with some new specs. We wanted to bring even more over from the USA side.
Sure.
When Renown first came out, it was designed to be the kit that would give you the Gretsch experience, but not with the USA pricing on it. It was made so working drummers could get into it more and experience that whole thing. So, but the main thing we did to it this year was by changing the counter hoops on it. And we took the counter hoops, which we call the 302 hoops, that we use on our Broadcaster and our Brooklyn series, brought them over to the Renown, and it completely changed the tonality of the drums, made them more open, made them more responsive, more dynamic. It's the best sounding Renown kit we've ever put out. And then we've lowered the price down to we're at $14.99 street for a 5-piece kit. So it's a home run all the way around.
How many different finish options available?
There are 4 lacquer finishes and there are 3 wrap finishes. For this year we've introduced Satin Tobacco Burst, which we're showing here. We also did a Piano Black. We did keep some of last year's finishes, so there's also a Cherry Burst and a Gloss Natural. Just the thing with finishes is, and with Gretsch, there's an expectation of we're a traditional company. Drummers know that we're always going to be there with a certain look and a certain vibe. So it was important for me to keep that vibe at this price point too, because this price point kit is a stepping thing in the line.
Sure.
Right. Eventually you're going to step up into the USA kit when we buy our Dream kit, that whole thing.
Right.
So it was just enough of the USA vibe, but at a price so that the working guy can afford it and go out and use it.
Sure. And so with the new hoops, it's a much more open, livelier tone. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I like using the word open. It's like everybody's drums are open, right? And warm, and all the adjectives we all use for it. But yeah, what people forget about drum sounds is, and especially when you get into muffling the drums, and there's a million different muffling devices you use. People equate the drum sound with one single note, and it's just bang when you hit it. But if you really listen to the drum and the tonality of the drum, it's no different than any other musical instrument. There are a bunch of different harmonic notes in that one note that make up that note that you're hearing out in the crowd. It's not. Right. It's the sum of the parts, right? So by putting these hoops on, it accentuated more of that tone. So it gave you a bigger tone, because now you're having all those. The die-cast hoops are great because they focus the tone, they focus the overall sound, and you get a great attack on it. And that's a great thing. We've used it. I mean, we still use it on our USA custom kits, and we've made our careers off of die-cast hoops.
Right.
But by adding this to it, it's as thick as a die-cast hoop. It's still 3 millimeters thick, but it's not as rigid because of how they're made. So they have some flex to them. So they allow the drum to breathe a little bit better, and they're very easy to tune. You can tune these drums literally without even putting a tuning key to it, and that's how you know they're cut right. We also respect the bearing edges on this, where I grabbed a 1981 USA tom from one of our local cartage houses. It goes out and does every session in LA. To that point, I had to wait 3 days for the drum to come back from a session so I could grab it and use it. And then we took it into the R&D guys in Oxnard, who are the best in the world. And we spec'd out that edge, and we got really inside that edge and really figured out exactly what it was, and then made computer drawings of it, and then sent them over to our overseas factory and had those classic USA edges put on both the Renown and the Catalina lines. Wow. So now when you put the heads on, you can finger tighten the lugs and you have tone instantly. You don't even need to touch a tuning key to it. And that's great because working drummers use this, and so much music was recorded on Gretsch drums. It is the most recorded drum kit ever. It is. And even the guys who are playing other stuff, when they're, and we all know this, when the red light's on, every studio has one of these things sitting in there. So much music was created by that drum kit that we wanted to have as much of that. When a guy who's using this kit is covering a bunch of different styles, and chances are those styles were all created with a Gretsch kit anyways. Right. So now you have that sound automatically in the music that you're playing because of where they come from.
And so just real quick, tell me a little bit about that edge, the shape of it.
It's a 30-degree edge, okay? There's a one-ply back cut on it that's slightly rounded, so that actually fits up into the collar of the head. A 30-degree edge is something we've always done. We've always had it. It puts a little more shell in contact with the head, and it brings out mid-range. Also on the rack toms, on the 10 and 12-inch rack toms, we use a 5-lug pattern, which is uniquely Gretsch. What that does is it puts less tension on the center of the drum head. So Gretsch drums inherently feel a little softer when you hit them. They have a little more give to them, and that's part of the allure when artists come in and play them. It's just they have a touch to them, And we've definitely captured that with the Renown kit. Yeah. So we're really excited about it.
So now we're going to talk about a new snare throw, right?
Yeah, let's go take a look. Let's look at the dial.
All right. So Mike, now we're here looking at the new dial throw. Tell us about this one.
This came again from our R&D department. Gretsch snare drums have been around forever and ever, but I wanted to put more focus on them. The focus tends to be on the kick and the toms, and the snare drums kind of have become a second thought in a lot of things. And I wanted to do something that was really going to put a focus back on it and make the snare drums a solid line all the way across, but with something different to it too. Like I said before, Gretsch is known for tradition, and this is the way we've always done it kind of vibe. But why not add something new to it? And I got this idea came from the R&D guys, and it was too good. It was too cool not to go with. It's a completely different thing. There's no lever on it. It's just it's a dial, okay? And it's solid. These pieces we're doing for the show we had machined over in Europe. There's going to be a production model that I'm going to come out with that I'm working on right now that I can bring the price down on it.
Okay.
Right now the machined ones are just ridiculous. They're cool. And I'll sell you one, but it's expensive. So it's very easy to use. It's almost like snapping your fingers, but it's quiet, except for the snare wires going. But it doesn't. Once it's on, it stays engaged. It's a very logical kind of thing. It's the tension adjustment it's a very fine thread, and it's also got a washer in there that prevents it from backing out. So these things we've been gigging on these things in Europe now for 2 or 3 years. So there's a lot of gig testing that went into this. The best thing about working with the R&D guys is we're all working drummers.
Right.
So when we're not doing this stuff, we're out playing gigs and we're playing with the new gear. So we're really happy about it, and it's just a completely different take on throw-offs. There's no lever to get bent. There's nothing to get busted off. Nothing to chafe your legs when you're playing on it. And it's just a different take on the throw-off that we've never seen anything like it before, and the response has been fantastic on it.
So the production model is going to be black as well, or multiple colors?
Could. I mean, we're working on that. The black thing was the prototype that I originally got it in was a silver color, which they use for in motorcycle racing parts. Silver represents like a high-end kind of thing. A throw-off should be somewhat neutral, just like snare drums are somewhat neutral in their finishes. So, jury's out on that one. I could, I'm thinking of doing a chrome version. I'm also thinking about I have the ability to do possibly other colors. So maybe we can do, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Tony Williams yellow?
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. All right, and I think we're going to look at a couple of new snare drums now, right?
Yeah, come on over.
All right. So we're going to wrap up with some new snare drums. What are we looking at here, Mike?
Okay, for the USA Custom line, we did we added a copper shell, straight copper shell, and a straight bronze shell to the overall assortment. So now we run the whole sonic gamut from steel in the Brooklyn lines to chrome over brass in the USA lines, and then straight bronze, straight copper. Just so you can have there's a big brass being your brightest, most open sound. Copper is your more warm, woody kind of sound.
Right.
So in snare drums, we all know every drummer out there we all have more than one snare drum. Some of us have this sickness where we have 30 of them.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe more. They're like shoes, right?
Yeah.
That's how we all justify it to our wives, right? You have more than one pair of shoes, right? So snare drums, guys are constantly experimenting with snare drums, and it's really easy to get a drummer excited about a snare drum because I don't have that one.
Yeah.
So this was just more the snare line. The USA snare line now is the most complete it's ever been assortment-wise. It's all the bases are covered. We've revamped the throw-offs on them. The throw-offs have been reworked they're solid. The hardware is great. Everything is great about them. And pricing-wise for USA drums, it's a great deal.
Yeah. And so sonically, what separates brass and bronze, or excuse me, copper and bronze?
Copper is definitely warmer than bronze is in its tone. Bronze has a great attack to it. Bronze is a really musical metal because that's what they make cymbals out of. Right. So it's always been a really versatile drum. It's a very musical drum. It's personally my favorite metal is bronze. So there might have been a little bit of that in it too. But I wanted guys I know we've all it's hard to find a good one.
Yeah.
And this one, just the aesthetics of it, it matches to the whole Gretsch thing. Die-cast tubes, microsensitive strainer, we still use our snap-in key holder, which has been around forever, but it works. It's a cool way. You know, there's nothing worse than playing a gig and your tuning key goes flying off the drum. So yeah, there's some very Gretsch amenities to it, and it's just, like I said, it's just a way to have a complete line.
All right, well, Mike, the stuff looks great, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a great show.
You too.
All right, bye.